Hello students, today we continue that fertilization. After fertilization, already last class we discussed about fertilization, the fusion of male gamete with the female gamete. Actually the fertilization takes place inside the female reproductive tract, that means internal fertilization takes place. So what happened after fertilization? After fertilization, that means it related to implantation. The next continuation, that is implantation. In this implantation, normally before implantation there is a procedure. Already we studied the formation of zygote. This zygote, it forms in ovarian duct or fallopian tubule, one among the part of fallopian tubule, that is the isthmus and all. So the movement of zygote from isthmus towards uterus and all, this process we call as cleavage. Why it is called as a cleavage? During movement of this zygote with the help of ciliary movement which are present in the uterus as well as the fallopian tubule and all, in that contractory movement and all, then in this movement it ready to start cell division. Which type of cell division it takes place? And normally it takes place mitotic cell division. Then that is we call as cleavage and all. So before implantation, the cleavage process it takes place and all. That is cleavage. What it takes place? Cleavage, zygote and all. So what type of cleavage, what type of mitotic, the cell division it involves in that zygote, which undergoes, which takes place inside the fallopian tubule, then it moves. Then whereas before implantation, it is the cleavage will be radial, holoblastic. That means slight amount of lacell is present, that means micro. Actually, purely it is called as the lacell, but minute it is present and that's why holoblastic. The cells which undergoes, why? Because that particular zygote it is present, spherical one, at any direction, ready to undergoes that specific cell division and all. Radial, holoblastic, intermediate, so these cells, not maximum, not minimum, not lesser and not, is intermediate as well as unequal cell division. So this is the process which takes place in this cleavage and all. In this cleavage, that what are the steps involved in that cleavage? That formation of, in this particular formation of blastocyst and all. Formation of blastocyst. After formation, why? Because while moving of a zygote from isthmus to uterus, there are mitotic cell division takes place. In that mitotic cell division, that means mitotic means 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell, 32 cell, 64. Like that cell division, it continues. It takes place and all. In this one, the first, if it is formed blastocyst, then the attachment of blastocyst. So the process of attachment of blastocyst, the inner wall of uterus and all, endometrium wall of uterus, that is we called as implantation and all. So first of all, how the blastocyst it will be formed and all. In this one, the first it takes place 2 cell stage and all. The first one, 2 cell stage. In this one, this is the zygote. In this zygote, that zona pellucida, it is still attached and all. This is the outer layer, zona pellucida. then whatever the nucleus is present, this is unequal. One is the larger, another one is the smaller. It will be formed and all. So one is the larger cell, another one is the smaller cell, it will be present. This is the smaller, this is the larger. The outer, it is the zona pellucida. So the zygote, the first division, it involves unequal division. Unequal division, one is the larger cell, another one is the smaller. One is the larger nuclei, another one is the smaller nuclei. That means the cell will be formed and all. This is unequal. This is the two cell stage. After, that means the first day after fertilization, the first mitotic cell division, unequal division, it takes place in the, that is, one is the larger, another is the smaller, it involves in the next one, it will be takes place in 3 cell stage. Next it undergoes this 3 cell stage. That means it is what type of cell division it takes place, that is meridional division it involves in this type of division we call as meridional division. What is the meaning of meridional? This is the vertical division. It is not horizontal, it related to vertical. One is the animal pole, another one is the vegetal pole. Towards animal as well as vegetal pole, that particular direction, it undergoes the first mitotic unequal division. One is the larger, another one is the smaller. Whatever the cells which formed after first mitotic cell division, that particular macro and micro, these cells we called as Blastomere. These cells we called as the cells which are formed, the cells which are formed in 2 cell stage we called as Blastomere cell. Then vice versa, the smaller cell, now first larger cell are ready to divide and after formation of this one, first larger cell it divides in this zona pellucida. Then the larger cell, it is perpendicular to that first related to first division and then it is also vertical meridional division towards this one. That is, it will be called as 3 cell stage and all. Then why? Because after completion of 3 cell stage also it presents certain period of time. After certain period of time, then vice versa. That means alternatively, both that larger cell as well as smaller cell, it undergoes the continuous mitotic division center. After 3 cell stage, then these cells alternatively divide mitotically. But it is a continuous process. Now it may not be stopped. Only 3 cell stage only, temporarily it stopped and then mitotically and it takes place and continuously and little bit fast and continuously it takes place alternatively and then after completion of 3 cell stage, then it will be present 4 cell stage. Then that zona pellucida, it will be present. Then that particular 4 cell stage. This is the 4 cell stage, it is present and then after 4 cell stage, 8 cell stage and 4 cell stage, then 8 cell stage. In this 8 cell stage, 8 cell stage it is present under. After 8 cell stage, then 16 cell stage. Then 16 cell stage. Then it is present 16 cell stage. In this 16 cell stage, like this 16 cell stage it is present under. So whenever the outer layer it is the zona pellucida, the inner one it is present. So it is a solid ball-like structure. It is solid ball-like structure. It look like a little mulberry. It is solid ball-like structure. It look like a little mulberry. That's why it is called as a Modular Stage and all. This particular stage, that means 16 to 32 or 8 to 16. That particular stage. So 8 to 16 cell stage. This is 8, this is 16. Why? Because both are look like a ball-like structure. The inner and that is we called as it is a solid little mulberry like that structure. That's why it is called as a modular stage. So when it is called as a modular stage according to NCERT book 8 to 16 1, then and also it is also represent 16 to 32 also it look like same manner and all. So 8 to 16 as well as 16 to 32 both it resemble look like a solid ball like that little mulberry like that structure. That's why it is called as a modular stage. But whenever they give options, whatever in CET you put that one 8 to 16 that represent modular stage and all. Because of that solid it is present and all. Because of whenever it reach to the modular, that means regarding related to that specific after 72 hours, that means after third day it ready to entering of uterus and already stomach while gradually it is moving under and entering to here and all. But here you observe very carefully the first one, the size of this particular embryo, this particular zygote, it is the same. But first one, larger size of cells are formed. Then gradually the size may not be increased. That specific undergoing of that zygote, the formation of that specific group of cells and all. Then inner cells regarding related to smaller and smaller size and all. Whenever smaller and smaller size, this particular process we call as that fragmentation. That means fractional that particular process and all. The size of the cell after undergoing mitotic division in the zygote inside the female reproductive tract and this is we called as that represent that fractional process and all. This process we called as fractional process. Why it is called as a fractional process? The cells after undergoing cell division, it may regarding related to very smaller in that size and all. That's why it is called as a fractional. This process we call as fractional process and all. Because of already we said these are unequal cell division. Because of unequal, two types of cells are formed and all. Because of unequal, two types of cells are formed. What is that two types of cells? For understanding purpose, I draw a little bit larger and all. Actually, same size is present and all. So, due to unequal one, there are two differentiated cells are present. One among these one, micro cells, micromeres, smaller size of cells we call as micromeres, larger type of blastomeres we call as macromeres and all. So, these blastomeres are micromere, that means smaller, as well as macromere, that means larger size of this one. Micromere, which normally present towards that peripheral part, and that macromere which are present inner part of that specific arrangement is present, and in this one, in this, the specifically it is present related to these are regarding related to the peripheral and as well as inner little bit larger. Just now only we said, even though slightly larger, when you compare to the peripheral transparent nutrient layer in further cleavage process and all, it takes place and all. These are we called as micromere. Inner we called as macromere. This is the zona pellucida. Zona pellucida, after formation of morula, then it ready to form blastula, then formation of blastula, that means blastocyst. Blastula nothing but blastocyst and all. Then again further division, whenever further formation, further division and all, then that the specific zona pellucida, it must disappear and degenerate and all. So whenever ready to formation of blastocyst means after 64 cell stage. After 64 cell stage, the blastula, the blastocyst, that means it is highly, that means it is a dynamic process. Formation of blastula means it is a dynamic process. Why it is a dynamic process? Whatever the differentiated cells, whatever that different type of these cells and all, which rearrangement, so dynamic rearrangement of cells due to formation of blastocyst and all. This is the dynamic rearrangement of blastomeres. Different types of blastomeres means macro as well as micro. Macro, it acts as outer layer like trophoblast. Micro, that means smaller, micro act as a trophoblast. Macro, larger, it acts as the inner cell mass and all. What is the dynamic rearrangement? Micro cells, peripheral. Macro cells, inner cell mass and all. So after that zona pellucida, it completely absents and all, completely disappears and all. Then outermost the flattened cells. The outermost flattened cells, it will be present. This is the smaller cells and all. These smaller cells, outermost one. Then the inner, it is present. The inner cell mass is present and all. Little bit larger, inner cell mass is present and all. That is inner cell mass, it is present. This is outer, it forms into the trophoblast. That is important exam point of view. Which type of blastomere act as, which type of blastomere converted as trophoblast. What is the meaning of trophos? Trophos means to feed to. Why? Because whenever, that means exactly after fourth day after fertilization, the blastocysts are ready to attach the wall of uterus and all. After fourth day, after fertilization of the fourth day, they are ready to attach and all. This is the outermost layer, the flattened cells, that is trophoblast. What type of cells? Micromeres, that means microblastomeres, it converted as a trophoblast. So what is the major function of trophoblast? it acts as a protective layer, it acts as a nutritive layer, it acts as a extra embryonic membranes. Why? Because the trophoblast only in further growth and development of embryo and to formation of the fetal placenta. Placenta acts as a vital role to absorb of these nutrients, to excrete of the nitrogenous substances from fetus to the mother or mother to the fetus, vice versa. Before formation of fetus, from this with the help of trophoblast only, future growth and development of fetus, it converted as this placenta. Placenta means first it forms into this chorion as well as amnion. These are two extra embryonic membranes and all. Apart from this, trophos means to absorb, to feed. Whenever on fourth day, it slightly attached to the wall of endometrium and all, then ready to absorb nutrients from uterus, endometrium wall of the uterus and all. Whenever absorbs, then it increase. That means there will be formation of this is inner cell mass. The inner cell mass. It acts as this embryonic knob and all. This acts as embryonic knob. So, very important exam point of view. Which type of blastomeres act as embryonic knob? Either macromeres or micromeres. Macro, any one you remember. Macromeres act as that specific inner cell mass. It further and future it act as the embryonic knob. That means it is a precursor of embryo. So among these this particular inner cell mass, why? Because it acts as the stem cell. This one only it differentiate some type of tissues, organ system, the complete embryo, the complete fetal, either male or female. This blue color and all. So while attaching of this trophoblast, it feeds and it takes maximum amount of nutrients from that specific uterus, endometrium of uterus and all. Then it formation of blastocele. So what is the difference between morula and blastula? Morula, even zona pellucida, undifferentiated, even though larger and smaller cells are present, but not as complete undifferentiated. But in blastula, that means blastocyst, it completely dynamic, that rearrangement, that means micro, flattened, it acts as, and it converted as trophoblast outer and out. Then macro, larger, inside, it acts as that specific inner cell mass. Wherever embryonic knob, this is we called as embryonic pole. This is up embryonic pole and all. This side we called as embryonic pole. This is up embryonic pole and all. Up embryonic pole. Opposite embryonic pole and all. Towards this one, embryonic, up embryonic, blastocele. What is the other name of blastocele and all? Segmentation. Segmentation. It is we call as segmentation cavity. Otherwise we call it as segmentation cavity. Or another one we call as blastocyst muscularis or vascularis. Or blastocyst vascularis. So different names and blastocele. How blastocele it develops and due to absorb nutrient material from endometrium wall of uterus through trophoblast and all. Then it differentiate. This is different names it is present and all. So that is after formation of blastocyst. Actually after formation of blastocyst, actually in 4th day, then 5th and 6th, then averagely 6th to 10th, between 6th to 10th day, then it ready to complete attachment to the wall of endometrium and all. That is we call as implantation and all. That process, that procedure, that mechanism, that attachment of this, that specific and all, we call as this one implantation and all. So exam point are very important. What is the cell stage which represent morula? Which cell stage actually the implantation of embryo takes place, either morula or blastula. Again gastrula also is there. Within blastula stage only, or simply blastocyst stage, it ready to attach the wall of endometrium of the uterus and all. That is we call as implantation and all. Then what is now you say what is meant by implantation? That is related to cleavage division up to that blastocyst and all. Now what is meant by implantation? Just go and say what is meant by implantation? The process of blastocyst attachment the wall of endometrium of uterus and all. So what is the name of implantation? Blastocyst attachment the wall of endometrium uterus. So the process of blastocyst attachment of endometrium, the wall of endometrium of uterus, that is we called as implantation and all. This is one. So what is the period of time that specific implantation? What is the period of time? 6 to 10 days after fertilization. 6 to 10 days. But exactly either 6th day, 7th day, 8th day, 9th day, and averagely, but exactly if you want, on 7th day, exactly it attached the wall of endometrium of uterus and all. So, averagely 7th day. So, 6 to 10 days, this is average, but this is also average exact one particular day. If you want one specific day and either 6th or 7th or 7th day exactly it attached the wall of uterus. Whenever the blastocyst, so this is the period of time and all. Then what is this? That specific mechanism. The mechanism is immediate after attachment to the wall of endometrium of the uterus and all. Then immediately the cells which are present in endometrium of uterus, it ready to bind, it ready to attach towards the blastocyst and all. So what type of cells? Primarily it must hold towards that blastocyst and all. That is deciduous cells reaction. First it takes place deciduous cell reaction. That means a deciduous cell reaction. The first one, after attachment, immediately the endometrium of the uterus, the epithelial, it ready to stimulate and all, and continuous rapid multiplication cell division. Then it completely bind, it completely covered towards the blastocyst and all. That is, what type of cells from that specific uterus, endometrium wall of uterus, that is the deciduous cell reaction it undergoes and all. These cells only it provide the further growth and development of that specific formation of fetus and all, formation of embryo and all. That is decidual and all. Then what type of implantation normally it takes place and all in human beings and all. That is interstitial. What type of implantation? That is the type is interstitial. Interstitial type. What is the meaning of interstitial? Interstitial means the blastocyst, the completely embedded inner wall of uterus and all. So completely, suppose whatever uterus it is there, the endometrium walls and all, in this completely embedded, this is. So inside the uterus wall. So in this specific, whatever the blastocyst, this is the uterine cavity, this is the wall of uterus. So in the wall of uterus, why? Because the wall of uterus completely, this is inner cell mass and all, this is the trophoblast. So in that blastocyst, the completely embedded the wall of uterus, endometrium wall of uterus, not the superior part, completely inserted towards the wall. That is we call as interstitial stage and all. Interstitial type and all. So what type of implantation normally takes place? Interstitial type. Now, which type of hormones control the implantation? Hormones. What type of hormones are control this one? Estroidal or estrogen, commonly called as like estrogen, as well as progesterone. These two hormones are controlling and all. So estrogen, whom will be secreted this estrogen? Graafian follicles. These the follicles of matured, that means Graafian follicles secret to the estrogen. Apart from this one, adrenal cortex also secret to the estrogen. Apart from this one, the placenta, the further, it is also secret to the estrogen. What is the function of estrogen related to this particular implantation process under the uterus regarding related to endometrium epithelium? It stimulates estrogen, stimulate endometrium. It stimulates endometrium of uterine epithelium. That uterine epithelium. Whenever stimulate the uterine epithelium, then ready to formation of that whatever I have written, the decidual cell reaction, it must be bind towards this one. It bind towards this one. It stimulates for the formation of this one, for that attachment of the blastocyst and all. Then progesterone, who will be secreted these hormones and all? This progesterone secreted by the corpus luteum, the temporary endocrine gland. That means rupturing of Graafian follicle we call as corpus luteum. Corpus luteum and all. This corpus luteum secretes to the progesterone. So whenever the fertilization is ready to take place, whenever stop to the menstrual cycle, the corpus luteum persisted for a long period of time. Then this progesterone, it helps implantation. That means complete implantation of that embryo and all. Only it stimulates, but originally it implantation. Apart from this one, that adrenal cortex as well as placenta, it is also it secret to the progesterone. So among these two, both are act as a vital role. Among these two, progesterone act as a vital role. Without the absence of progesterone in female, that it may lead to the abortion. Why? Because this hormone may not be released after fertilization of the 1 week time. 1 week time after fertilization, this hormone may not be released. That particular embryo may not attach the wall of uterus of the mother and all, that female and all. Then if it is not attached, it degenerates along with some amount of blood. Again, that it may be leads to the menstruation and all. If it is strong, it is present in a proper manner, it attaches firmly and all. So progesterone hormone act as a vital role. Estrogen also, but among this one, it acts as a vital role for implantation of that particular embryo and all. So in this particular subtopic, implantation, that particular stages of the cells are important. That means modular stage as well as blastocyst, or commonly we call as blastomere and all. Which particular stage cells we call as a modular. So what type of cell division it undergoes and all. Which one we call as cleavage. What is it by cleavage? The movement of zygote with the help of cell division towards the uterus. That is we call as cleavage and all. The radial as well as unequal and intermediate such type of holoblastic cleavage division it takes place and all. So what we call as cells which formation after mitotic cell division in zygote and all, we called as blastomeres and all. So after cell division, the cells which undergoes in zygote we called as blastomeres. These are unequal. The dynamic differentiated rearrangement, normally formation of blastocyst and all. Why? Because the blastocyst stage only ready to attach the wall of uterus. Which particular day after fertilization that implantation takes place exactly, if you want, means 7th day. If they asked 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, 8th day, means you write 7th day. Averagely means 6 to 10. Why? Because we do not say exact day and all. That's why averagely 6 to 10 or exact and averagely many number of people they observed. That is the 7th day and all. How ovulation it takes place 14th day or averagely 10 to 20 in between that day, any one among the day. It depends upon the hormonal cyclic changes and all. It depends upon the particular organism and all, the particular female reproductive system and all. Okay? Why? Because after implantation, what it undergoes, what it may leads and all. After implantation, it may leads to the pregnancy and all. After implantation, it may leads to the pregnancy. This pregnancy in that human female reproductive system, the pregnancy period 9 plus or minus 10. So 9 months plus or minus 10 days and all. Averaging to 70 to 80 days and all. Normally we call it as 9 to 10 months. That means plus or minus only 10. 10 months means not complete one whenever enter into the 10. So this pregnancy, otherwise we call it as, scientifically we call it as gestation period and all. Okay? That we discuss in next class.